Hey, what's up, YouTube family? It's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. We are back in this book called The Indigenous Nations of New Netherlands, New England, New Spain, New France, and the Antilles Islands. Okay, we're going to talk about the 5-point slums of Manhattan, New York, 1820 to 1860. Okay, we're going to get into some more information. I hope you guys continue to like this and enjoy this content, just like the other content I have presented you guys out of this book. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this new information so you guys can continue to learn, understand, and be able to apply this to the knowledge that you already have. All right, let's get started. Like I said, out of this chapter, we're going to be talking about the 5-point slums of Manhattan, New York, 1820 to 1860. And you're going to learn a lot about this. I'm going to learn a lot as well. I have learned a lot, from reading this portion of this chapter that I never knew. You know what I'm saying? New information is always exciting. Definitely when you are open-minded and you're willing to learn. So let's go ahead and get started. Between 1803 to 1812, New York City Hall was constructed. It's located at the center of City Hall Park in the Civic Center area of Lower Manhattan between Broadway, Park Row, and Chambers Street, directly over top of the burial grounds. And we're talking about Indian burial grounds, Negro Indian burial grounds. Over 20,000 coffins still lay in the ground under the New York State Building and other surrounding buildings. Only 419 bodies were exhumed out of the 20,000 plus, which more than half being claimed to be, quote unquote, enslaved Africans, right? The red square is where the Negro burial site is located, and we have a picture of it for you right here. That's what I love about this book. Not only does it have its text, but it has pictures to go along with it. During the 1800s, the surrounding area became a slum full of European immigrants and indentured servants. Today, it is taught that it was filled with Negro slaves and upstanding slave masters, but that is a lie. The area was so dilapidated and run down, became the inspiration for a movie called The Gangs of New York. And that's a good movie. I ain't gonna lie, it's a good movie. And one thing you'll notice when watching the movie is not one Negro slave was portrayed in it. Interesting. Good observation. Between 1820 and 1860, more than 5 million plus European immigrants landed in New York Harbor at a time when the city's population numbered less than 1 million. No laws existed to regulate or curtail the flow of newcomers. Economic and political unrest propelled people across the Atlantic. As the largest port on the eastern seaboard in the 19th century, New York became the main point of entry for European immigrants. And we learned about that on the previous content that I gave you guys. The area surrounding what was known as the French Water Pond became the area known as the Slum 5 Points. The illustration below shows an abundance of Negro slaves fighting, working, and waiting on whites. But that is just an illustration. It's far from factual, as we'll show you on the next page. So this is the illustration that they were speaking about on the previous page. This is how they want you to see 5 points in the surrounding area of Manhattan. So what they're saying is, this is a lie. This is an outright lie. I don't know where it came from specifically, but what this book is saying is that's not true. The 5 points was a European slum. It was not a area full of slaves waiting on, those that you would call white people or Indo-Europeans. This is not true. This is what this book is claiming. So we're going to read some more information, or we're going to look at some more pictures on the next page. Okay, we're on the next page. How 5 points actually looked, or what it actually looked like. The 5 points European slum in Manhattan, mid-1800s, 15 feet above the burial grounds. And also, from what I understand, when 9/11 happened and they had to dig up the towers, they found burial ground under the Twin Towers. I heard that somewhere. I don't know where specifically. I can pinpoint that, but I've heard that before. So a lot of these buildings, a lot of these skyscrapers in these neighborhoods in certain areas are built on top of burial grounds. That's not just in movies. That's in real life. So, but they're saying that this is what it actually looked like. So we got some more pictures on the next page as well. All right, here on the next page, and there's more picture evidence of the 5 Points European slum. And this is what they're claiming, that it was not an all-black area, that it was, in fact, a European slum. And we can add this to more evidence of the claim. 5 Points European slum, 1500s, 15 feet above the burial grounds. And I think this is the second to last picture. So all this is picture evidence, guys. All this is in the book, and to add to the claim that they're making. I mean, it's one thing when you say something, but when you add picture evidence to what you're saying, it just solidifies it. And this is, I believe, one of the last pictures I'm going to torture you guys with. So we weren't the only ones so-called living in poverty, right? We weren't the only ones that were living in squalor, or that's what they will say. We weren't, the savages. But if we were to go by, European standards, these guys were savages as well, right? They were in the slums. They were in the worst of worst conditions. And this is not taught. We're taught that we were the savages, right? We were the ones living in the ghettos and the slums. So, hey, this information goes to it goes to show you that history is not taught correctly. Many will say that these filthy conditions only started when the new immigrants arrived, but this is also not true. About 100 years prior, documented by Peter Warren in the Royal Navy in North America, the Warren Papers, 1736 to 1752, describing the conditions of the New England colonies, present-day Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Brunswick to the northeast, and Quebec to the north. So, we're going to read a passage out of a book, I believe. Townsend to Warren, Pembroke, Louisburg Harbor, July 9th, 1746. The subject, the colonies. That the fortifications are badly designed and worse executed have already formed your grace. It may be said that these things are that may be remedied, to which I answer not. For unless the climate could be changed, it is impossible to make works durable. The frosts begin to cease towards the middle of May and are succeeded by fogs. These last till the end of July or beginning of August, with the intermission perhaps 1 or 2 fair days in a fortnight. Towards the close of September or early in October, the frosts set again, and they continue with frequent snow till May or often the beginning of June, so that allowing the fortifications to be repaired with the best of materials and in the most workmanlike manner, your grace will observe. They have scarce 2 months in the year for the cement to dry. The people and conditions in the colonies. Your grace is sensible. The French poor are much more industrious than the English and used to live much harder. Yet even these complained of the barrenness of the country, and many rejoiced when it was taken. Nor can I ever believe the New England people will be brought to come here, but for their present gains. For everyone I found here, from the General Pepperell down to the corporals, were sellers of rum. Such a quantity of it had been introduced that, had not I put a stop to it, the king's troops must soon have followed their fate of last year. Though I derived all the settlers of their licenses and secured 64,000 gallons of rum in the citadel's casemates, yet for some weeks there were seldom less than 1,000 men drunk a day. The confused, dirty, beastly condition in which I found this place is not to be expressed. These New England folks were so lazy that they not only pulled down an end of the house in which they lived to use as fuel, but even buried their dead under the floors. So they didn't even get, wow. And did their filth on every corner of the house rather than go outdoors in the cold. They were of so obstinate and licentious a disposition that, not being properly under military discipline, there was no keeping them in any order. As much as I rejoice at getting rid of them, so do I pity Mr. Warren, who was obliged to be so long amongst them before he was invested with his authority as governor. He began with the regulation about rum, but had no time to put it into execution, which I am doing, and have the pleasure to tell your grace the good effects are visible already. So let's go ahead and move a little further down. End quotes. During the 1800s, slavery, as we were taught, was pretty much non-existent in the North. That is why many black Americans fled north to escape the plantations their forefathers were sold into during the 16th and 1700s, who fought in all the wars against the colonists in the North and the South prior, being murdered or taken as war captives/slaves. The generation that fled the South was the generation born into slavery, having no memory of the century prior. When the newly arrived white population came in contact with the Negro population, we are taught to be freed Negroes who are recorded to be in the area since the first Europeans stepped upon the shore. For example, Chinook, Weapanaw, Pequot, and the Narragansett, to name a few. Most immigrant whites took advantage of these nations every chance they could with no laws to protect them. So the indigenous black populations had no laws to protect them from the European immigrants who were coming in. Many were viciously murdered by the thousands, and many unprovoked attacks still going on today. Burnt alive, including whole towns, hung from poles and trees. Wow. Many of the dead bodies will be used on postcards to mail back to their friends and families in Europe, and many will keep parts of their bodies as souvenirs. Absolutely disgusting. So who were the real barbarians? Who were the real savages? Okay, you won't see this type of stuff in your history class. You are taught in your history class that there are only one type of people or one group of people who were savages, who were lawless, right? Who were filthy, who were, everything negative. You're taught that there was only one group of people who were that way. Even though history says that is not true. Real history says that is not true. And that's what we have come to expose. So this type of independent research is very important. It is important that we open our minds and not allow the current condition of, or the current, the current condition of where history stands. We can't allow it to stand, knowing that it is not true. The truth needs to be told. And that's where we come in, independent researchers, those who enjoy doing this and those who enjoy learning, and uncovering, that's where we stand. This is where, we come in to play. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I got some more content coming. I kind of want to get into the next part of the previous content in regards to the African theater and in regards to like minstrel shows and things like that. Or I can just get into the next part of this chapter, which is called The Land of the Blacks, New Amsterdam, Manhattan. I got some content on that too as well. So, put it in the comment section what you want to hear. You want to hear more about the African theater, minstrel shows, or maybe you want to hear about the Land of the Blacks, New Amsterdam. Some of the towns that we had, such as Seneca Village, which was an all-black town that we had. Prosperous towns, that are no longer in existence. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Continue to view the content. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.